Kumlen and Ablat Gemara. We are up to the Zayin Amud Aleph. We're up to the Gemara. Quick recap of the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells us if you have two Nazirim, and we're assuming for the moment that they started Nazir at the same time and they're completing, but it makes no difference really in the halacha. Two Nazirim and a third party who is says to them, I saw that one of you became Tameh. I just can't remember which, or I didn't see exactly which one it was. So what do they do? One of them is definitely Tameh, and one of them is Tahir. So what do? So what they do is they bring kabbanas. One will be brought up as a carbon for the Tameh, which is one set of kabbanas, and one will be brought up as a carbon for a Tahir. And they come to the base midrash together. So if one of them is 50 days and one is 30, so you have to wait for 50 days. And then they make the following tonight. They say, each one says, if I'm the one who was tummy, then the tummy is for me and you're the Torah. If you're the one who's tummy, then the tummy is for you and I'm using the Torah kabbanas. Then they have to wait another, and they cut the hair. Then they have to wait another 30 days. And you, why another 30 days? Because could be one of them was tummy and he now has to restart the whole Naziris. So wait another 30 days. And then between the two together, they bring one set of kabbanas for Torah. There's no reason to bring a second set. And then each one says, well, if I was a tummy last week, then the last time that I'm the one who's Torah. Now, if you were the tummy last time, then this is the Torah for you. And then the Mishnah doesn't mention it, but the Gemara will assume that they all have to take haircuts again at the end of the 60 days. And our question is going to be in the Gemara, if the person, one of them is definitely not a Nazir, how can he take that shave? Because you're taking off your payas and there's a lot involved in there as well. So we will see. First thing Gemara says, Tani, we learn Shnei Nazirim in the Gemara. Tani, we learn Shnei Nazirim, Sha'am Lahem, with two Nazirim, and they were said that Isi Ech Mekem Shnei myself, one of you became Tameh, any days Mekem, I just don't know which one it is. Now, we know that a suffix Tumah in a private place, Yachid, is Tameh. Where do we learn that from? Saita, as we're going to learn in Saita. She was alone, he needs her alone, there's two people there, and we assume, the worst. But if there were three people there, that's called like open. I say that's Shus Rabim, and a suffix to Shus Rabim is Torah. So the question is, since there are three people in now, the two Nazirim and this witness, why are we being machmir? We're saying you should suffix tumah should be machmir. On the contrary, you should say that a suffix tumah should be Torah. Now the Tesis asks a brilliant question. Before we get to Tesis, the Gemara boil when you two people there, the alleged perpetrator and the woman. Any time we consider Yachid, if there are people there, you could be too. Here you have two Nazirim and you have this witness. The understanding there. Nu hot loss have a city. So this is a subject to plus have the subject to the subject to should be lenient because subject to Rabim is fake is always tired. But he says to them, I saw from a distance a tumah, and I wasn't standing next to you, I was standing far away. So therefore there wasn't the congregating together, there was only two people standing alone. So he asks, if this is a situation of suffix tumah shusayachid, then each one of them should be bringing their own carbon. Because from Saita we assume the worst we have to drink. So we here also, the din should be that each one of them is a suffix tumah, maybe your tummy, each one should bring a tumah carbon. Why do we say one brings tumah, one brings a toy? So Tesis answers, because this is not exactly like Saita. In the case of Saita, it could be nothing happened at all. Over here, definitely one is tired. In the site, it could be the tummy, it could be the tire. Here, definitely one of them is tire. You don't know which one. So therefore, you can't have them both bringing, because then it's a sort of contradiction. The suffix is, one of you guys are tummy, you don't know which one it is. You can't have them both bringing a suffix tummy. And therefore, therefore, in this case over here, we only bring one tummy carbon, we just don't know which one it is. So the question then the question is all the way around. So how can you learn in Shus Rabim here it should be Torah? Because Satan Shus Rabim is Torah. Over there it could be never happened. But over here, definitely one of them is Tameh. So how can you say because the Shus Rabim, therefore we'll make it Torah? What's it what even mean? How can you learn that from Satan? So Tesis, this is the famous Machlekes Tesis and Rashi. Everyone agrees that we learn suffix tumah in a Shus Yachid from Satan. But where do we learn that a suffix tumah in Shus Rabim is Torah? According to Rashi, we learn from Saita by inference, only if it's private. But if it's public, it's Torah. Taisus learns because of the question right here and other questions, for a very long Taisus in the beginning of the first page of it. Taisus learns that no, that how do you know something too much is Torah? That's Svara. Nothing to do with Saita. Because if you learn from Saita, then you would say that in this case here, we should be Machmed. Because the Saita, it's quite possible they were just talking. There was nothing happened untoward between these two people. But over here, we know for a fact that one of them is Tameh. How in the world do you learn from Saita? He says purely it's a Svara. We don't learn from that. And what's a Svara? Each one has a Cheskes Kasha, so we view each person separately. It has to do with the fact that they have a Chazaka. That till now you were Tar, so probably you're still Tar. Nothing to do with Saita. Anyway, back to the Gemara. Rashi says they can approve you from the language on Mishnah. It says the Aindi Yudea. Doesn't say I forgot. I forgot means I knew and I forgot. Anything means I never knew in the first place. But he was standing right next to them. Why didn't he know? Obviously, he was far away. He was distant. Says the Gemara, Megalchin Umevin. Says the Gemara, why? What do we say that they take a haircut? All right, they both take a haircut. They got a problem. How can this? Now we're talking about the second period of 30 days, not the first period. The first period, everyone has to take a haircut. Whether you're tummy or tar, they both need a haircut. But the second period, one of them is definitely not a Nazir anymore. The second 30 days, one of them is not a Nazir, one of them has to redo it. Just don't know which one. So how can you tell them both take a haircut? When you tell them to take a haircut, you tell them to take a crew cut, including their payas. And there's an issue in the trailer, Sakifa Pasarish, you're not allowed to remove your payas. So you want to ask the question, why do you get them both take a haircut? Maybe that this person is not Tomei because of it Hakafa and he's doing an Issa Deraisa. You're forcing one of them to do an Issa Deraisa of removing their payas. Omar Shmuel said, you're right. Must be talking about when does our Mishnah say they both take a haircut? We're talking about a case where there's no Isser of Hakafa. And when is that? The Isser of a cotton. A woman has no Isser removing her payas. And how do we know that a woman has no Isser removing her payas? Because right after that it says also you shouldn't remove your beard. It says a woman is not shaykh the Isser removing the beard, nor do they have the Isser of payas. So therefore, our Mishnah is talking about a case where both Nazirim were women, or that both Both Nazirim were a cotton. A cotton we learned before that if he's 12 years old, he can take on Naziris, and it's whether it's Mahatoidim or Drabanan, but they're a Nazir, but they don't get punished. So therefore, they can since we have this suffix that maybe each one of them is a Nazir, let them take the haircut, and even if they're not Bar Unshin. Now, we had a whole discussion before whether hakofas kol haroish ma hakofas. In other words, the Torah says don't remove the payas on the side of your head. What about if you remove all the hair? Is there still an avera? One opinion is only while you leave the rest of the hair and you remove the corners, that's an avera. But if you remove all the hair, hakofas kol haroish is not a problem. If you learn that way, then there's no problem on Mishnah. There's no Isser. Since a Nazir removes all of his hair, they're not committing the Isser of Hakafas Reish. And because Shmuel didn't answer that, Shmuel instead said, we're talking about a woman, we're talking about a child. Obviously, Shmuel holds that there's an Isser involved. So it must be that Shmuel holds removing even entire hair, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you remove your payas, you're even Isser. So Gemara asks, why doesn't Shmuel just say, we're talking about an adult, but Hakafas Reish, Hakafas? And just say that there's no Isser involved there. Because Shmuel did not say that. Shemamino, that Kasava Shmuel holds Hakafas Kol Haroish Ma Hakafas. Must be that Shmuel holds that removing all your hair is called Hakafas. It's really the only possible way of understanding the Mishnah why they take a haircut at the end. How can you instruct? One of them is definitely Torah. Take a haircut because women or cotton with no Isser involved. Mazutra, Masnid Lahashmaita, Mazutra learns the comment of Shmuel as safe. He learns the comment of Shmuel on the safe, on the end of the Mishnah, which is the next Mishnah, which we already learned before, about a Nazir who became a Suffolk Tameh and a Suffolk Mitzayra. And we learned that you have to go through 4 periods, because maybe maybe you're a Mitzayra and as a Mitzayra take a haircut, but you have to wait 30 days because maybe you're not a Mitzayra, maybe you're a Nazir. Nazir cannot take a haircut before 30 days. Stam Nazir is 30 days. So you got to wait 30 days and take a haircut. Then you got to wait another 30 days because maybe you were not because maybe you're a Mitzayra, you got to take a haircut, but maybe you were not a Mitzayra, maybe you were a Nazir Tameh. So the first cutting was from the Nazir's Tameh, and now you got to do another 30 days. So you got to wait another 30 days. But maybe you were Mitzayra, and Mitzayra has 2 periods of cutting the hair. So then the third one, you got to wait another 30 days because maybe you're Tameh, but maybe you were a real Nazir, you're not Tameh. So you have to do 30 days. The end of the 30 days, the third month, you say, oh, but maybe you were Tameh. This haircut's for Tameh. You got to start again. You got to do 4. That's what it says there. Nazir Tameh, Besafik, or Muchlet. As far as Mitzvah is concerned, which prevents you from eating kabbanas, you can only start eating kabbanas after 60 days. Because definitely you took care of the mitzaras if there was tzaras. You did the muchlet and you did the muchlet and you did the sphere. You made sphere. Remember when they decide that the mitzvah is over, you got to shave yourself completely and go to the mikveh and take those 2 pigeons, and then you wait another 7 days called May Sphere. You wait another 7 days, and in that 7 days, then you take another shave, top head to toe, and you bring the kabbanas of a mitzvah, and only then can you eat from kosher. Okay, that's 60 days. You take 4 haircuts. Now the question is, how can you take 4 haircuts? You're doing hakafa, you're completely shaving top to bottom. Yeah, Shmuel says, Yeshua says, now what's the difference? Why in the world is he pushing off to the next mission if we already have the same question the first mission? There's a big difference. What Mazutra is saying here is, we don't have a problem with Nazir because we hold Hakafas Kolarosh. Shmuel agrees. I don't have a problem with the first mission because cutting entire hair is not a problem, not an avera. So there's no problem. Here's a problem with the Mitzayra. Our Mitzayra cuts from head to toe. But if you're not a Mitzayra, then cutting from head to toe, you're cutting your beard as well. And that's a problem. I'm not worried about the hair because that Kafas Kolarosh. Shmuel would hold is not a Lishma Kafa. So you're not worried about Nazir. He's leaving his question to the next Mishnah when we also talk about a Mitzayra. And a Mitzayra shaves from head to toe, including the beard. Here I have a problem. So that's what he's saying. I don't believe Shmuel says this. I thought Shmuel said that. Okay. We have famous machlekes and you see from the Gemara we learn right now how careful one has to be with one says with their words. Even though we're not, we're not in Madrega at all, but how careful one has to say in their words. Look at what happened here. Abuna said, Abuna says there's 2 isurim here. One for the nikif, the person whose hair is being cut off, and one for the makif, the one who's actually doing it. And the 2 are unrelated. So even if you're cutting the hair of a cotton, that right now is not liable, but the makif is chayiv because you're doing nisa. When the Torah says like sakifu pas roshchem, it says in plurals to tell you whether you're doing your own head or you're doing someone else's head. You're even nisa. So he says, "Makif is a cotton chayiv." If you're a gadol and you're cutting the hair off of a cotton, you're chayiv. If you're a barber, you're chayiv. This is very strange Gemara here. Very strange, and I couldn't find anyone saying anything. Your kids, you give your kids 2 haircuts, and you remove the payas. Who cuts the hair? Now we have the Rosh, Taisus, and Rashi. Each one says something else. The Rosh says everyone used to cut the payas off the kids. Why? Where's chinuch? The whole idea of an upsharing is you remove the hair and you leave the payas at the age of 3. And so, what are we talking about over here? The Rosh says everyone used to cut the payas off. Tosha says some used to cut the payas, and he noticed about the children cut the payas. Rashi didn't like any of that. Interesting. Rashi says here, I'll quote you Rashi because it's a fascinating Rashi. Rashi said, "What do you mean they cut the payas off the kids?" So Rashi says here. I'll just quote you the end of the Rashi Amr about the last 2 lines. The inshi they used to cut the payas off if a kid got very sick, and I don't know what sickness this is, part of the medicine, part of the cure is to remove all their hair, including their payas. So who cut your kid's hair off? What sickness is it? I don't know. But Rashi clearly is bothered. What do you mean he took the payas off the kids? It can't be. And I'll just quote you the Rosh. Look at Rosh. The Rosh is about 10 lines into the Rosh, and he says, "Show you the gilin." Hear this? The Rosh says, "Normal process." What in the world does that mean? That they did not leave any payas for the kids? I don't know. I have no idea what that means.
The only thing I can think of in
Rashi, at least you see what's bothering you.
Maybe there's lice or something. I don't know.
But why pay them? Just cut the hair off. They said in this pay.
Lice are good in there too.
Yeah. It's hanging. So I don't know. Yemi came up with a good solution. Maybe that Rashi means it was lice and the only cure is to completely shave the head. Maybe that's what it means. But Rashi will have Roy's son. Maybe it means but you can see clearly Rashi is not happy with other Rishonim chapter. What in the world is going on? You're cutting payas of kids. Okay. Anyway, homework for everybody. Final shot in the Gemara here. Says the Gemara further. So Abdul said, if you hold that a god does not shave the kids' hair, tell me how you cut your kids' payas off. So Rav Huna said, this is even odder. Look at the name of his wife. So Rav Huna said, Omale, he said, Chayva. I have a wife. Her name is Chayva. And her name Chayva.
I thought he's saying it's a chiyuv.
No, my wife, her name was Chayva. She cuts there. And why? Because we just said that a woman is potter. So Rabbi Huna says two things. First of all, that a godel, if you're liable, whether you're a makif or a nikif, you're chayiv. And a woman who is potter, whether she's a mak, even if she's cutting someone else's hair, she is potter. Even if she cuts a godel's hair, she is potter. And actually, we'll have a fetish in Shnaim Oifs and Betalis and the very interesting discussion of the Gemara there about Shlich V'Arbeira. We're going to mention the clear of Huna's opinion that a woman is potter if she shaves another person's hair. The Gemara there actually talks about a cut, but that a woman is potter. So Rav Adam disagreed on both counts. He believed, first of all, that if the nikif, that the makif is dependent on the nikif. If the nikif is potter, then the makif is potter. If it's a child, then the makif is potter as well. If it's number one.
Doesn't have to be mechuyev in a mitzvah in order to be over on that mitzvah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I think there's what the Tosha says here about chayva. She's not mechuyev in
That's the whole. That's what Huna's opinion. Rabbi says no. I agree on both points. First of all, I hold that the makif is not. I hold the makif is dependent on the nikif. The nikif is chayiv, the makif is chayiv. And I hold that no man and woman. A woman is potter on herself, but if she does it on someone who's chayiv, she's also chayiv. So in other words, I believe according to you, if you hold that that you're chayiv for a cotton, according to you, that's what you say, then a woman should be chayiv as well. And therefore your wife had no right to cut the hair. So he made a statement as follows. He said, Takvrinu chayva lebnei. Does chayva want to bury her children? According to you, she's doing an aveda. So and children are liable for the sins of the parents, especially if they're doing it on the child. You want your wife to die? He didn't curse her in any way. He just asking a question. So the Gemara said she wanted to bet, not if she's dying, she should bury her children. Cool as shani that as long as Abba was alive, every one of Huna's children passed away because the words that he came out of his mouth. And all the shame say here is kishgoga hayetzer shalit. We have to be careful of the words that come out of his mouth. Even though he didn't intend to curse, he just asked a question. But the wording of that question made it personal. Never make it personal. So some say, for example, if you learn the Gemara, if somebody died, you should never say, and if I die, as an example, never say that. The words, be very careful. Says the Gemara, Mechdi, what's going on here? They both hold that shaving the entire head is called a hakaf because they're saying the children they used to cut all the hair off, not just the payas. They cut when they cut the hair, they cut the payas with it. So according to Rashi, lice, it actually makes a lot of sense if it's lice. Cut everything off. So my mifti, what's the argument? It says in plural, sakifu means there's an avera on the person who's doing it as well. First of all, how do we know women are potter? Because it says you shouldn't shave your head, and right afterwards it says don't shave your beard. Anybody has an issue of shaving the beard has an issue of shaving the head. These women, so they don't have the issue of shaving the beard because they don't have a beard. These less nor do they have the issue of shaving the head. But Abba holds. So okay, that part of it agrees. But Abba holds echad hamakiv echad hanikib b'mashma. He says the word loisa kifu is coming to tell you that the makif is dependent on the nikif. The isk is makif the nikif because they both learn from the same word. The makif you learn from the nikif. Kol heichad the nikif mechayiv. If the person sitting on the bench to get shaved get a haircut is over bar mitzvah, then the barber is also chayiv. Makif not mechayiv. But this cotton, since he himself is not a baranchin, then the barber is also a baranchin. He's the barber also is not a baranchin. By cotton, nobody's baranchin. But he holds that if the nikif is chayiv, then the makif is chayiv. So even if it's a woman, according to the Rabbi, even a woman will be chayiv if she shaves an adult. Even a woman will be chayiv if she shaves an adult. Yeah. So the case has an interesting question. According to Rav Huna, the makiv and nikiv are totally independent of each other. What happens if a yid shaves the payas of a goy? You're a barber.
Is the guy
No,
subject to the
not at all. But he's a nikiv. You're the makif. You have who says there's no link between the makif and the nikiv. So that means it doesn't matter if there's a cotton sitting in a chair. Yeah, because you're doing it. Yeah, exactly. So if you're a barber and you have a goyish client there, customer, maybe you should be over. Then Taisha says, well, maybe we can argue that by a child, eventually will be chayiv when he gets an adult. So therefore, there's a connection to this Aveda. Even though right now, presently, you're not going to be over. By a goy, the whole concept of removing the payas is not really Aveda. Taisha doesn't like that, but that's what he initially wants to make a difference. So Taisha then concludes, maybe because it says pas roish chem, just only talking about Jewish here, and not a goy. But now he says, if a man, then he has, what happens if a man completely shaves a woman's hair, including her payas? She's a yid, as a maki. Taka, she's a nikif, and your potter. We said a woman is potter. She's nikif, but you would have say that the makif and the nikif are not related. Can you give a woman a total haircut and bring it paid? And you make the tzarchin.
What's the difference by a child then?
A child, you can say a yid. No, he doesn't like. Why a child? No, according to so why a child is will be chayiv is because maybe the child one day will come by mitzvah, will be shaykh to this Indian. A woman will never be shaykh. On the other hand, she's a yid. So and makiv and nikiv are not related. He makes the tzarchin. If you're allowed to give a woman a total, but for male, you're allowed to give a woman a total hikah, removing the payas because as a makiv. Interesting question. Let's continue. Talking about it further, a little bit further. Lema, let us say. So you introduced the idea of hakafas kol harosh, whether it's an avera or not, whether it's an avera. Lema hakafas kol harosh tanohi. Actually, a machlekes tanoim hakafas kol harosh is over or not. Now, actually, it starts a new sugya here, and maybe we'll leave it for tomorrow. But we already had this sugya more or less before. We actually tried. I'll just quickly remind you what we're talking about. Talking about over here, it says in the pasuk by Mitzvah, you should remove all the hair, and then it says the hair on the head, the hair on the beard, and all the hair. And we ask, if you raise and remove all the hair, what do you have to tell me? The roishay is konai. What do you have to tell me? The hair and the head and the beard, everything is moved. So obviously there's a chiddush involved in each one. So previously in the Gemara, a few weeks ago, we learned the idea was to teach you that this is actually an aveira. How do you know that hakafas coloration is an aveira? How do you know that you have to use a razor? That the easer of cutting your hair is only with a razor? By Nazir, only a razor. We had a machlekes. The easer of a Nazir cutting your hair is only a razor or anything, or even malaka to the heat there and all that, or shaving a beard. How do we know what the easer is? So we'll talk about it tomorrow. But tomorrow we're going to focus more on hakafas coloration. Okay, have a good day. We'll